Mind it, I'm not here trying to hug 100 people, especially in these COVID times. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. So in today's video, I am going to be doing a review on the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. This is the Dewy foundation from Wet n Wild. Now I have obviously reviewed the original matte foundation and you guys know I absolutely love it. It's definitely one of my favorites. So yeah, we're going to be reviewing this today. We're also going to be doing a little bit of a quick makeup tutorial. Because yeah, I have other things to film, but I don't really want like a colorful look, so I'm going to be doing a quick makeup tutorial and foundation review on this video because I know you guys are going to ask me for an eyeshadow tutorial if you do end up liking the eyeshadow look. But without any further ado, let's get into this video. Okay, so I'm just going to read from the back of the bottle. It says, hydrates and smooths complexion for luminous finish, buildable coverage for normal to dry skin, shake well before use, and it is vegan and cruelty free. So I have the shade Cocoa. Now my bottle is a little bit sticky because at Clicks they are now sealing everything with like tape so that none of those people out there who open bottles and test when it clearly does not say tester. Oh my gosh, I had a bit of dry skin around my nose area. I do apologize if you guys saw that. If you didn't, thank God. Okay, so I actually have a little bit of stickiness on my bottle, and that's because Clicks is actually like wrapping all of their products. Every single product I've bought from Clicks has an extra layer of tape around like the nape of the neck of every product so that you guys don't open it and test out in store, especially with COVID. So I actually found this foundation at Clicks in store. I can't find it online. My local Clicks, which is a very small Clicks, doesn't have it. So I would suggest going to a fair enough big Clicks to actually get it, because online you can't get it online. It's so difficult. You can get the matte one, but you can't get the dewy one, which is kind of difficult because COVID. Clicks, please put this online, thank you. So I picked up the shade Cocoa. Apparently your shades in the matte range match your shades in the dewy range. And how I know is because I went online onto Wet n Wild and I actually wanted to find my shade. So they have this thing now where you can find your shade and then you tell them what shade you are in whatever foundation. They have a list of categories, but I picked Wet n Wild because I've tried that foundation before, and it's really nice because then they tell you, they ask you what brand and they ask you your shade, and then they tell you what's your shade in this one. So I'm actually the shade Caramel in this one, but I thought it wouldn't hurt to go a shade darker. So anyway, let's get into this video now that that is out of the way. So if you guys are struggling, go on to Wet n Wild's website. They can help you out and help you figure out which is your shade. Okay, so let's go in and prime the face as always. So I'm going to go in with my coconut priming water from Kiki Beauty. I think this is the only primer that I'm going to use today. Oh, it smells so nice. Alrighty, so I think I'm going to be testing out this new foundation brush from Foschini Beauty. They sent this to me in PR, so I think it's quite interesting how it has like a little thingy in the center. You can drop foundation in there. But yeah, let's get into this, shall we? Oh, I need to wet a sponge. Okay, so we're going to go back into testing out what this foundation blends out like with a sponge and with a brush. So I'm gonna start off by just adding a few dots on the right side of my face. I don't really know how much I need at this point, but I know a little goes a long way with the matte foundation. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up my Wet n Wild sponge and just going to blend this foundation into my skin. Ooh, this is very dewy though, I will say. This foundation is dewy. And the coverage right off the bat is quite decent as well. I will say though, certain areas of the face, I feel like it is a more medium coverage, like around my mouth. I feel like it's definitely a more medium coverage. Okay, so far so good. This foundation is quite decent. I will say though, this cocoa shade looks a lot richer in the bottle than it is on my skin tone. Like you can see, it's visibly dark. So I would say if you are the shade caramel, rather go with caramel, because this is a little bit too dark for my liking and dull looking. Like I want something that's rich and yellow in pigment, you know, and I feel like the caramel one is like that. So you see, it goes on fine on the skin, looks very rich in color, but then when you blend it out, I wonder if it's got to do with maybe the sponge, but let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna take the Foschini foundation brush and just blend this into my skin. I feel like this brush is very small for my liking, to be honest. Why am I so fussy today? It's just really tiny. I think it would be nice for blending out like under eye, but like I feel it's very small. But I mean, it gets the job done. Okay, are you guys seeing this now, or am I imagining things? I don't think I'm imagining things, to be honest. I can clearly see like blending out this foundation with a sponge almost made it oxidize to this dull shade, whereas this side is more brighter. Am I losing my mind? I know I'm not losing my mind. It definitely looks like this side is a lot more brighter. However, I feel like this side probably has more coverage, so especially with the brush. So right off the bat, I would say, because it's a dewy foundation, I would probably say you're better off blending with a brush than a sponge, because something doesn't seem right here. I know I'm not losing my mind. Something does not seem right here. Okay. It seems as if this side of my face is slightly brighter and not as dull as this side of my face. Okay, so verdict on the sponge. I think with this foundation, don't use a sponge. I know I'm not dreaming, you guys. I can clearly see a distinct difference between this side of my face and this side of my face. But anyway, let's keep going. I am going to try and even out the dullness on this side, and then also build up a little bit of coverage around my mouth, because you can clearly see where, you know, it's not fully covering. But this foundation says buildable, and the original foundation is like this as well. So just gonna make sure I add coverage to where I need it, and then I'm gonna switch to another foundation brush that I really like to blend this out. The Foschini one, I honestly think this brush is too small. I think it would be perfect for contouring though, and like chiseling out the face. As you guys can see, this foundation is very dewy. So again, if you guys are not keen on a dewy foundation and you're more into matte skin, I definitely would not recommend this foundation. You can powder it down if you want to, but I really wanted to review it to see how it was going to work out on my oily skin. I don't mind dewy foundations. It just depends on like what I'm feeling, and that looks a lot better, I think. So right off the bat, you guys can see this is a dewy foundation. It does say that it's a dewy foundation, but for dewy foundation, the fact that it can build up to a more full coverage is definitely impressive. I would definitely say you're better off using a brush with this foundation as opposed to a sponge. And yeah, let's go in and conceal the face. So I'm going to be using a new concealer that I picked up. This is the medium deep tan photo focus concealer, and I'm gonna highlight under my eyes. I usually use the shade medium peach, but I'm trying out a different shade. I think this is a very natural-ish shade of concealer, so it does a decent amount of highlighting. It doesn't give you like a bam highlighting look, you know, the look that I usually go for, but I mean, it does a pretty good job. This concealer is definitely one of the best concealers I've tried, and it is quite good coverage, if I do say so myself. Okay, so far so good. Foundation, skin, everything is looking amazing. I'm gonna go in with my Revolution Luxury Banana Powder, and I'm just going to set the center of my face, starting with under my eyes. And then down the center of my face. So if you really wanted to, you can totally go in and basically just set or lightly set the entire face with a little bit of powder, but I kind of like the glowy dewy look of this foundation, so I'm just gonna powder usually in the areas where I get absolutely oily. Okay, so now that that is done, let's hop onto the face. I'm gonna be going in with my Revlon Skin Lights Prismatic Bronzer. This is in the shade 115 Sun-Kissed Beam. And I'm just gonna bronze up my face, my cheekbones, my temples, my jawline. Okay, and then for blush, I'm gonna go in with this NYX Sweet Cheeks matte blush in the shade Citrine Rose. Okay, so then we're gonna go onto the eyes, and I'm going to just take my sponge and just blend out any creasing that happened with the concealer and my eyelids. And then I'm gonna go in with my Revolution Reloaded Iconic Vitality palette, and I'm gonna take this shade right here. It is a matte shade, and I'm just going to apply this all over my lid to set my concealer into place. Okay, then I'm gonna take this shade right here. It's almost like a brownie orangey type of transition shade, and I'm just going to put this into my crease. Just lightly dust it into the crease and on the lower lash line as well. Okay, so you guys can see there's a nice wash of color on the lid. Then I'm gonna go in with my Hebe Beauty Ultimate Eyeliner in the shade Quest, and this is a dark brown. I'm just gonna sharpen this, and then I'm just gonna take this along my upper lash line. Drawing a little bit of a wing with it, and then I'm gonna take an angled brush and just smudge this out a bit. You want to start with a little bit at a time because this eyeliner is very pigmented. Okay, Okay, so once I have that base down, I'm gonna go in with another Hebe Beauty Ultimate Eyeliner. This one is in the shade Mythology, and this is a brown, but it has some shimmer to it. So I'm just gonna take that along the top of this wing. So we're using the brown as a base, and then we're gonna add the glitter and shimmer with this Mythology shade. Just to darken up the lash line, gonna go back in with Quest, just so that we start off dark, fading into this beautiful shimmer, which is Quest. Okay, so that is it for one eye. I'm gonna go ahead off of camera, finish off the other eye, put on some mascara, some eyelashes, and I'll be back. Okay, so I just finished off my other eye, applied mascara, and I also dusted off the rest of my bake. I'm gonna go in with the Wet n Wild Precious Petals highlighter. Since we're having a Wet n Wild foundation day, we might as well make it a Wet n Wild moment, if you will. For lips, as always, you guys know I'm gonna go in with my MAC Plum lip liner. And then for a Wet n Wild nude moment, I'm gonna go in with the Wet n Wild nude lipstick, matte nude lipstick in the shade Never Nude. Comes in this beautiful packaging. Honestly, I bought this lipstick for the packaging, but I'm staying for the color. Okay guys, so that is it for this finished look. I might just add lashes on. I'm still deciding at this point, but this is what the foundation looks like. You guys can see it's still pretty like glowy in these areas, like where I haven't like really powdered. I would say everything sits really well on top of this foundation, even though it is a dewy foundation. And yeah, so far so good. Everything is looking great. I will say this is my problem, but I have a little bit of dryness around my nose area, probably with the weather and it being hot and cold and hot and cold. But other than that, that's my skin issue. It's got nothing to do with the foundation. But yeah, this foundation sits beautifully on the skin. I'm really interested to see like how it wears throughout the day, and if I can get away with wearing this on my oily skin. You guys saw in the beginning it was very shiny, very glowy. So if you guys have dry skin, this foundation would be perfect for you if you like a little bit of glowiness to your foundation. If you are oily and you do want to get this foundation, I guess we'll have to stay tuned to see. So yeah, so far so good. I think the coverage is really nice. I think that the foundation, even though it's dewy, it's not too sticky or too tacky. I mean, there's a little bit of transfer coming off. So if you guys do want a transfer proof foundation, this one will probably not be that because it's so dewy. But I honestly don't mind it. I'm not here trying to hug 100 people, especially in these COVID times. Oh my gosh, you guys, I completely forgot to do a time check-in situation. You can tell I haven't done a review in a while, okay? So the time right now is 6 minutes past 12. Hopefully you guys can see that. So yeah, a lot of time has elapsed since I've had this foundation on, in between, you know, doing the rest of my makeup and stuff like that. So let's just assume that I've had this foundation on since 11. And yeah, I've had this foundation on for about an hour at this point, and everything is looking pretty good, in pretty good shape, and I'll see you guys in a few hours. Hey everyone, so I am back. The time right now is 4:54 in the afternoon. So I've had this foundation on for almost 6 hours at this point, and I definitely have to say, like, I wore a mask for a little bit and the foundation definitely like did some things in like this area. So I would say that this foundation wears pretty well. I mean, on my oily skin you can see I'm like glistening and glowing. I would definitely, as an oily skin girl, I would definitely prefer this on a day where I want that glowy, luminous type of look and I'm prepared to, like, you know, powder my face throughout the day. I have not powdered or anything of that sort on my face, and I think it lasted a pretty decent amount of time. I think the oiliest area for me personally is my forehead, and you guys can see it's definitely a little shiny on the forehead. Other than that, I think I got a really decent 6 hours of wear from this foundation. A little bit of settling into my smile lines, but there's nothing that a pore minimizing primer can't fix with that. And yeah, if you have oily skin, I would say maybe stay away from this foundation. I wanted to try out this foundation because I know I like that glowy, dewy look from time to time. So yeah, I'm gonna really enjoy using this foundation. I really like it because it has quite a good, decent coverage. And for those of you who are dry skin out there, this one's the bomb. So a lot of people actually ask me what's like a really good foundation for dry skin. So that's also another reason why I wanted to try out a dewy foundation, because I know a lot of my followers out there do have dry skin as well. So this one is definitely for the dry skin girls, 100%. Regardless, overall, I mean, an oily skin girl can get away with it, of course, but be prepared to blot throughout the day. I will say it does have a smoothing sort of look to it. Like, you guys can barely see my pores, like it's not as hectic as it usually is. But yeah, I definitely would have to say, after 6 hours of wear, this is a pretty decent foundation. So that is it for me, you guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this foundation review. 6 hours of wear. I mean, on my oily skin, I don't really think that this foundation stands a chance for the next 6 hours. It also doesn't market itself to be long wear, so we're not going to test it based on what it doesn't say it does. You know what I mean? I mean, it does say it hydrates and smooths, and I will say in my dry patch area, which was in my nose area, I will say it didn't like break up or crack up or anything of that sort. So it does have like a hydrating property to it, because this area looks better than it did earlier on. So yeah, this foundation is definitely it for my dry skin girls. Oily skin girls, I would recommend this in winter, not for summertime. It's very glowy. Honestly, I am living for this glow right now, but I know my oily skin girls out there, we prefer a more matte finish. So that is it for this video, you guys. I love you guys so much. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Comment down below, let me know what foundation you guys would like me to review. I've reviewed basically my entire foundation collection at this point, but if there is one that I haven't reviewed yet, let me know and we'll get it done. I love you guys so much. Before I go, let us do a Sanesh squad member of the day. I keep wanting to say Slay Squad, but I gotta check myself, okay? Oh my god, there's so many nice comments. Who do I give this notification to? Okay, I am going to shout out Alicia Rampersad. She commented, lol, this video killed me. The things men do, lol. But like you said, it's wild. Love this makeup look, and the products are amazing too. Thank you so much for watching. I noticed your name on most of my comment sections. Thank you so much for all the love and support. I really appreciate it. If you guys would like to be the Sanesh squad member of the day, don't forget to keep interacting with me on social media, whether it be TikTok or Instagram. I always know who's interacting with me. And don't forget to also leave a comment down below in the comment section. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to slay all day every day with and without makeup, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye bye.